Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. It is the game preview, EFL Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever you want to call it, quarter-final tomorrow evening at Goodison Park. 7:45 kickoff, Everton taking on Fulham. It doesn't get much bigger than that, does it? And quarter final of a domestic cup competition at Goodison Park under the lights on a Tuesday evening. Hopefully, we can come out of the other end of it semi-finalists and continue this fantastic run of form that we are on. We take on Fulham tomorrow. They sit 11th in the Premier League, currently on 21 points, which should be 5 points behind Everton, but obviously, as we all know, is not, because of the situation that we've spoken about numerous times over the course of the last couple of weeks or so that we're not going to delve into in this video. But Fulham are a decent side. They're a mid-table Premier League side. 6 wins this season, 3 draws, 8 defeats. Obviously, one of those wins coming at Goodison Park on the opening day of the season, a game that I think we all felt Everton should have won. I think we all felt Everton were the better team in. I think we all felt Everton, didn't take our opportunities, and then ultimately it come back to bite us on the bottom. Bobby Decord over Reed scoring the winner in that game late on, of course. But since then, Fulham have been in some relatively decent form. I mean, if you look at their recent form, okay, they lost 3-0 to Newcastle last time out with 10 men, but previous to that, a 5-0 win against West Ham, a 5-0 win against Nottingham Forest. They were unlucky at Anfield, losing 4-3. Should have won that game, in my opinion. Beating Wolves 3-2. I mean, you only have to look at the goals that they're scoring in these games. Prior to the Newcastle game, 5 goals against West Ham, 5 goals against Forest, 3 goals at Anfield, 3 goals against Wolves, and then obviously they were beaten by Aston Villa prior to that. But as I said, a decent footballing side. Fulham, obviously, Marco Silva, ex-Everton manager there now. He's got them playing exactly like he had Everton playing at times during his reign at this football club. They play good football. They move the ball around well. They've got some decent players. They've got some, players with a little bit of flair and with a little bit of quality. And ultimately, they are more than capable of putting teams away. They're more than capable of scoring 3-4 goals in a game, as they've shown 2 consecutive games where they've scored 5 goals in recent times in the Premier League. Just shows the quality that they have to offer. They've obviously got former Everton player Alex Iwobi there. I'm pretty sure he's cup tied for this game. I'm sure he played in the game against Doncaster early on in the season, but I'm almost positive somebody will correct me if that isn't the case. But they've got a number of quality players in and around that Fulham team that are capable of creating opportunities, scoring goals, and running away with games. Players like Willian, of course, who despite his age is still somebody that performs at a top level almost week in, week out. João Palhinha, who is again a very consistent performer, somebody that is on the list of a number of top clubs around Europe, the transfer list. Obviously, they've got Andres Pereira in there, Carlos Vinicius, Baird Leno in there, Calvin Bassey. They've got the likes of Tim Ream as well, Harry Wilson, who of course is technically a very good footballer, ex-Everton player Anthony Robinson in there as well, Raul Jimenez, who I believe is suspended because he picked up a red card in that game against Newcastle. But they've got a strong team, Fulham, and they've got a side that, as I've just mentioned, is a comfortable mid-table Premier League side. They're not really they're not really consistent enough to fight for much more further up the table. I don't think they'll particularly threaten for a European position this season, but they also are much, much, much better than any of those sides in the bottom sort of 4, 5 or 6, excluding Everton, of course, because we shouldn't be there. Interesting one, this. Obviously, like I said, Everton will be looking for revenge from that defeat on the opening game of the season, and I think even Fulham fans will probably feel like they got away with one on that day. I don't particularly think they were the better side. I don't particularly think they'd done an awful lot to win the game, but ultimately Everton didn't take our opportunities, and Fulham were presented with a big chance towards the end of the game, and Bobby Decord over Reed took it, and they gone away with all 3 points. And as an Evertonian, I know full well if Everton had not particularly put the greatest performance in away from home, and we we managed to sneak a win in the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes, I'd be absolutely over the moon. So hopefully there's revenge on the cards for Sean Dyche's Toffees tomorrow. But this presents itself as a much, much bigger opportunity than just getting revenge against the side that, beat us early on in the season. There's obviously no rivalry between Everton and Fulham. I've got no issue with Fulham whatsoever. As I said, they're a comfortable mid-table club, probably in and around what Everton are at the moment. Obviously, as we've just said, really and truly Everton should be above them in the league table, but they're not too dissimilar to Everton, are they? They've got some good players in there. They've got a manager that seems to know what he's doing and seems to understand his squad and how to get the best out of his squad. And they're doing relatively well in the Premier League. They're a little bit inconsistent, as is every team around that area in the Premier League table. West Ham, Brighton, Fulham, Brentford, Wolves. They're all teams that are capable of winning cut games comfortable, but also losing a game that you may not necessarily expect them to lose. This, as I said, it's much, much bigger than just going out and avenging what was a poor defeat early on in the season. This is a much bigger opportunity than that. This is an opportunity for Everton to progress into the semi-final of a domestic cup competition, for the first time in a long, long time. Now, obviously, the semi-finals of the EFL Cup are much different to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. The semi-finals of the FA Cup are held at Wembley, which is something that I don't think is particularly welcomed amongst the majority of football fans. The EFL Cup, obviously, the semi-finals are two-legged, one leg being a home leg for whoever's in it, and the other leg obviously being an away leg. So it's much different in that sense. But this is an opportunity that for Everton to progress into the semi-final, where there is a number of teams that Everton could potentially get that I would fancy us beating, and I would certainly fancy us beating at Goodison Park. I mean, if you look at some of the games that are to take place tomorrow, Port Vale versus Middlesbrough is another one of those ties. Chelsea versus Newcastle. So all of a sudden, even the Premier League tie in that list is a game between two sides, both of whom we've recently beaten at Goodison relatively comfortably. That tie between Port Vale and Middlesbrough is huge. Whoever picks up the winner to that game in the semi-final will be absolutely rubbing their hands together and smiling, from ear to ear. Not to disrespect either of those sides, and who knows, cup upsets have happened numerous times in the past, and it's very possible that whoever wins in that game can go and win, and beat a Premier League opposition if that Premier League opposition is having a little bit of an off day. But without being disrespectful, it has to be said, I think every Premier League side in the competition is looking at that game and hoping that they're drawn against that side. And then obviously on Wednesday, we have Liverpool versus West Ham United. Again, barring Liverpool, because it's a Merseyside derby, and it then becomes a little bit more about the occasion as opposed to the game of football. I fancy Everton to beat any of those sides, certainly at Goodison Park, maybe even Liverpool in the form that we're on, but certainly all of the other sides at Goodison Park, and a number of them away from home as well. So it presents itself, this game, as a huge opportunity to not only progress further into a cup competition, but get to a semi-final stage where we could potentially get a draw that is quite favourable to us. Obviously, in the semi-finals, there's two legs, I believe, so we would have to play home and away anyway. But can you imagine if we get through, we win tomorrow, we get through, the draw is made, and we're drawn against Port Vale or Middlesbrough, and then all of a sudden, we win that game and we're in a final. Now, okay, we could play Newcastle or Chelsea or Liverpool in the final, obviously, but it's an opportunity in a final. This also could be the last game, the last quarter final that is played at Goodison Park. Obviously, Everton announced a couple of days ago the new plans for the new stadium, and those plans are that Everton will play the entirety of next season at Goodison Park, and then the following season they will move into Bramley Moore Dock, or Everton Stadium, of course, for the opening game of that season. So if Everton fail to reach this stage in either of those cup competitions next season, then this very well could be the last quarter-final we ever play at Goodison Park. And I know you might say, well, quarter-finals of cup competitions aren't particularly huge games, Cam, but I look back really, really fondly on some really core memories of quarterfinals at Goodison Park. I remember the one against Chelsea where Romelu Lukaku scored. They were wearing a whitish kit with I think it had blue detail on it. We obviously were wearing our home kit. We beat Chelsea again under the lights in a quarter final at Goodison Park. To progress into the semis, and unfortunately, I think that was the season we faced Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final. We lost that season. Had we have won, I think they played Watford in the final and absolutely wiped the floor with them. Or it might have been Palace, somebody like that. And again, we should have won on that day against Manchester United. We had the better chances. So I look back quite fondly on a lot of quarterfinals that have taken place at Goodison Park, and the atmospheres on those nights have been truly special, and the atmosphere on that night when we played Chelsea was absolutely magnificent as well. I'm sure you all remember it. So I'm really, really excited about tomorrow's game because, as I said, I think it's another opportunity for us all to get behind the team, get behind the manager, get behind these players, and to really show just how just how impressed we are at the moment with these players and with this squad, and just how positive we all feel. Because I've spoken a lot about this recently, and I've had a lot of comments from opposition fans about how well yous were booing a few months ago, and yous hated them a few months ago, and yous with this, yous with that, yous with the other. And you know what? Listen, Evertonians are vocal. If Evertonians are unhappy about something, they will let it be known, as we've all shown numerous times over the years. We've shown it numerous times over the last 2 years when we've been in relegation battles, and we've let it known that we're not happy with the board, or we're not happy with the manager at the time, or we're not happy with the players. And obviously, we've let it be known over the last month or so with not being happy about the Premier League. Everton Football Club are a football club supported by working class people who are not scared and are not afraid to stand up for themselves and say, hang on, this isn't good enough and we expect more. So that is right. And there have been a lot of negative times in recent years. So therefore, there has been a lot of noise from fans about those negative times. But now it's really, really important that we ensure that we make a lot of noise about the positive times, and we get behind these players, and we get behind this manager, and we get down to Goodison Park at every opportunity, and we make it as loud and as noisy and as intimidating for the opposition as it possibly can be. Not only because, as I said, we are vocal and we are, quite outspoken, and we're not afraid to stand up when things aren't going right, but it's also important that we stand up when things are going right, and we get behind these players, and we're singing and we're chanting and we're screaming and with this and with that and with the other, and we're making Goodison Park exactly what we all know it can be, which is an absolute bear pit and a nightmare for opposition teams. You add that, you've got that cocktail then of positivity because of how well we're playing, and that cocktail of momentum and feel good factor around the football club. 4 wins on the spin, 4 clean sheets on the spin, etc. And then you pour in the fact that this is a cup quarter final under the lights at Goodison Park, and then it just gets a little bit spicier. And then you pour in the fact that this could be the last ever cup quarter final at Goodison Park, and it gets even spicier, and it all adds up to make hopefully what is a really, really electric atmosphere tomorrow. Fulham are a beatable side. And that is absolutely no disrespect to Fulham. As I said, Fulham are a decent side. They've got some decent players. They're doing well this season. They're in a good position. And they're more than capable of winning games of football, by the way. Fulham are more than capable of turning up at Goodison Park tomorrow and winning this game, in the exact same way as they did in August. But they're also more than capable of turning up and being beaten by what is an incredibly informed Everton side at the moment, who, as I said, are blowing us all away every single time they go on that footballing pitch. And we absolutely have to ensure that this feel-good factor and this momentum and this confidence continues, because this is a very, very winnable game. We spoke on the review to the Burnley game about having expectation now when it comes to Everton playing, having that feeling of, I expect us to win, I expect us to go out there against this side, not necessarily Fulham, but when we're playing teams that we expect to beat and compete against, we're feeling that expectation now as fans because of how well this team is doing. This is another one of those games. We've got 2 really, really difficult Premier League games coming up against Tottenham and Manchester City, respectively, over the next couple of weeks over Christmas. So how nice would it be to go into those 2 games not only off the back of 4 straight Premier League wins, 4 straight Premier League clean sheets, but also a win in a quarter final, meaning that we'll be playing in the semi final of a competition. All of a sudden, you know, the whole situation at Everton Football Club has flipped once again. We've spoken so much recently about where Everton were in May this year, in April this year, and had you have said to me in April, Cam, Everton will be, in a position in December where you'll still be 17th, 16th, but only because you've had the points deduction, really you should be on 26 points and a couple of points away from the European places. And then if you said, oh, and you'll also be in a semi-final of the Carabao Cup, I'd say to you, I don't know what you're talking about. That there's no way this Everton team is capable of that, but they are capable of it. And tomorrow is the time to go out and prove it. It's a huge, huge game. It presents itself as a huge, huge opportunity. It won't be easy. It won't be easy because, Fulham have already been to Goodison this season and won, so Marco Silva will know exactly how he needs to set up and exactly what he needs to do. It'll be interesting to see if he makes any changes to the side tomorrow. It'll also be interesting to see if Sean Dyche makes any changes to the side, if Sean Dyche maybe gives a couple of players a go that maybe wouldn't necessarily get a go, or if he goes as strong as possible. We'll be doing our predicted starting 11 in just a moment. But yeah, for me, this is a huge, huge opportunity. And it would be hugely disappointing if we were to lose tomorrow. I'm not saying it would be the end of the world. I'm not saying it would cause a meltdown, but it would be hugely disappointing if we were to lose tomorrow, because not only would it be a defeat, which would obviously have an effect on the confidence and the momentum that we're currently seeing at the moment, but also this is, and again, I don't mean this with any disrespect to Fulham or anything like that, but this is a very, very winnable game. A very, very winnable game against a side that Everton should have already beaten this season. So if we don't win tomorrow, when we do go out, not only have we gone out of a cup competition, but we've gone out at a stage that I think we all sort of feel like we should be winning. So yeah, it's a big, big game. It's a really, really important game. It's one that when I seen the scores of the weekend and I seen Fulham had lost and they'd gone down to 10 men, I won't lie, I had a bit of a smile on my face, because that is exactly what, for me, we needed. We needed them to have a little bit of a confidence hit, because they've been in really, really good form, and hopefully we can take advantage of that, and we can win this game tomorrow. It won't be easy. It won't be a walk in the park, but it's very winnable. It's absolutely very winnable, and I expect Everton to go out and give absolutely everything. And I think that's what the message from the manager needs to be, is that, listen, this is a big, big opportunity to not only progress further in the competition, but there's only one more team to play before the final. If we win tomorrow, there's only one more game to play before we get to the final. Well, two more, because it's a double semi-final, but one more side to play before we get to the final. As I said, if we get that Port Vale Middlesbrough draw, and then we beat them over two legs, okay, we might get Newcastle or Chelsea in a final, but who knows what could happen on any given day? Who knows? So, yeah, really, really exciting times. I'm looking forward to this one. I'll be perfectly honest. Let's head over to Fan Hub then, as always, for our predicted starting 11s. If you haven't already downloaded Fan Hub, get down below, give it a download. It's completely free. Top line of the description. Go over there, follow us on there. The more predictions you get right, the more points you win, and you can exchange your points for things like t-shirts and pints in a game, etc., etc., etc. So get over there. Go and download it. It helps us out hugely. Let's get into it then. In goal, Jordan Pickford. No messing about. I know different managers have different philosophies on goalkeepers in cup competitions. As far as I'm concerned, Sean Dyche should pick Everton's number one. This isn't an early competition against a League Two side, or an early round against a lower league team. This is a quarter final against the mid-table Premier League opposition, which is exactly what we are at the moment. So this will be a difficult task. Yeah, I've got no doubt that Jordan Pickford will be the starting goalkeeper in this one. Left back then, obviously unsure of the situation of Vitaly Mykolenko. I am going to assume that he is still out, because it was a minor injury. Hopefully he returns for the game against Tottenham at the weekend, but I'm going to go on the assumption that this might be a little bit too soon for him. It's difficult because we don't know whether Ashley Young will be fit. We don't know whether Vitaly Mykolenko will be fit. We don't know whether Seamus Coleman will be fit. Ben Godfrey, you could say. Well, Ben Godfrey played and played well at the weekend, but he played as a centre-back. He didn't play as a left-back. He's not played as a left-back for a long, long time. I'm going to go with... I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Let's go with Vitali on the benefit of the doubt that he has recovered and he is back in the team. If it's not Vitali, then I don't know who it will be, because I can't really see the manager going 5 at the back again and going with Dwight McNeil as a right wing back at Goodison. But then again, I don't know who he'd play, so I'm guessing here. But yeah, there you go. We've got to guess because we don't know. 2 centre halves. I'm gonna go with James Tarkowski, and I'm gonna go with Jared. I'm gonna go with Jared Branthwaite. Where is he? Obviously back after serving his suspension. Now you might say that's a little bit harsh on Michael Keane. Michael Keane was excellent against Burnley, and trust me, I've spoken numerous times. I've done 3 videos since the Burnley game, and I've spent probably about half an hour in itself in isolation talking about how good Michael Keane was and how impressive he was and how much credit he deserves. However, we cannot overlook the fact that Jared Branthwaite has been one of our best players this season, and Everton have been infinitely better defensively and infinitely more solid and infinitely more confident, and, you know, not coincidentally keeping clean sheets since Jared Branthwaite has been in this side consistently. So I know it might be harsh, and I get you might say, oh, well, maybe give Michael Keane the cup game and then, you know, and then obviously put Jared back in for the league game. But if Michael Keane starts tomorrow on the basis that he played well against Burnley and then makes a mistake tomorrow and Everton end up going out of the cup because of that, then everybody will say, well, why didn't you just play Jared? You know, Keane was only in there because Branthwaite wasn't available, and Branthwaite is the number 1 centre half. So I am going to go with Jared. Might be a little bit harsh on Michael Keane, but he deserves all the credit in the world and he deserves all the confidence. But at the end of the day, it's not a lie to say that that Everton's defence has improved drastically since Jared Branthwaite is in there. So for me, when Jared Branthwaite is fit and available, he should be in there regardless of any other situation. So yeah, Tarky next to him. Maybe Michael Keane would fit in there. Maybe the manager will give Tarky a rest ahead of a couple of difficult games in the Premier League. I don't know, but I'm going to assume that Tarky will be okay to play this one, so I'm going to put him in there. And then obviously at right back, I'm going to go with Nathan Patterson. Again, we don't really know the situations of Ashley Young. We don't really know the situation of Seamus Coleman either. So my assumption is that Nathan Patterson will be the only fit right back, and therefore he will be the starting right back. Into the midfield then, I am going to go with Amadou Onana and James Garner. Garner Gay is back for this game. However, again, you know, Amadou was absolutely excellent against Burnley, scored the goal, of course, really, really well taken header, and James Garner has been somebody that has been a standout performer all season in an Everton shirt, so I don't really see a reason as to why these two would be changed. As I've said, this is a cup quarter-final against a mid-table Premier League opposition. It's not a early round 1 or round 2 against the League 2 side. This is a quarter-final, an opportunity for us to progress into the semi-final against a difficult team. So we should go as strong as possible for me. Having said that, in the 10 then, Abdoulaye Doucouré come off with an injury against Burnley, of course, but I believe it was just a case of being precaution. I think he had tightness in his hamstring, and he come off with a precaution to be assessed ahead of the next few days. Maybe that will have an impact on whether he plays today. Maybe the manager will look and go, tomorrow. Maybe the manager will look and go, we'll keep him out of this one so that he's fit for the couple of difficult Premier League games at the weekend. If that's the case, then I would probably assume it would be Danjuma behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But as I said, you know, it might have just been a case of him having a tight hamstring, and then when he had the test, it was deemed absolutely fine. So we'll wait and see on that one. Right-hand side then. Sorry, left-hand side, Dwight McNeil. Right-hand side, I am going to go with Jack Harrison. And then up front, I'm going to go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, the interchangeables there are obviously, we don't know about Vitaly Mykolenko. I'm going to leave the rest of them because I think I think Branthwaite should start. I don't think there should be any real discussion about that. Football is a tough business, and it's a cutthroat business, and ultimately he is our best centre half, so he should be starting. Obviously, we don't know about Abdoulaye Doucouré either. That could be Danjuma. The rest of it, I feel, is rather nailed on, to be honest. So we'll save that. As I said, go and check out FanHub in the description. Go and get your predicted starting 11s in. Give us a follow over there as well. That would mean a huge, huge amount to me. And a huge, huge thank you to FanHub for collaborating with the channel. I really, really do appreciate it. So, yeah, there you go. Difficult game, without a shadow of a doubt, but one that presents a huge, huge opportunity for us to keep the confidence going, keep the momentum going, and obviously progress into the semi-final as well. So let's wait and see what happens. One thing is for sure, we'll be back with the instant match reaction and the player ratings after it tomorrow, so look out for those. Big, big thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this one, please, please do leave a like. It means a massive, massive amount to me. If you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. Up the toffees. Let's hope for another unbelievable cup quarter-final evening at Goodison Park tomorrow. Get in. Thank you very much for watching. See you after.